guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to go on a little bit of a rant journey. Come with me. I really believe war is coming. I really believe that. Now, I'm not using this as some way to get you to click on my video or to drum up a bunch of hyperbole. Years ago, I did a video specifically on how war was not going to happen. This was during Trump's first term. And during Trump's first term, there was a period of time where everyone thought we were going to war with Russia. And it was all in the media, mainstream media, alternative media. Everyone on the internet said, this is it. We're going to war with Russia. And I said, guys, we're not going to war with Russia. We're not going to war. And it's a simple fact because there's too many gravy trains running. When people are making money, people don't like to upset apple carts, especially their own. So we weren't going to war back then. However, times have changed. Absolutely, they have changed in the recent years and months. And there's a number of key indicators, 3 indicators. I'm going to give you why I think we're going to war, and I think we're going to war probably soon. I don't know any time frames. I don't have any inside information, but I do have some key data points that I want to share with you and just point these things out because I think, I've said many times on my channel, when in doubt, zoom out, look at the bigger picture, and there's a lot of things happening on the bigger picture right now. So, and we'll talk about perhaps who we might be going to war with first, because I think it's going to steamroll. Number one, a key indicator is recently the United States has declared silver a strategic metal. Silver as a strategic metal. Why? Let me tell you one reason why. Munitions. Absolutely munitions. Now, I'm well aware that there was a debate for a while on the Tomahawk cruise missile on how much silver it actually contained. But we know there's no argument anymore. There's no debate anymore. A Tomahawk cruise missile contains, a modern one, about 500 ounces of silver. That's a lot of silver. It's a lot of silver to blow up when you do the math on it. 500 ounces times the current price right now is $54, I think this morning is what I saw. So it gets pricier and pricier. Well, that wasn't a big deal back in 1990 when you went to war with Desert Storm and silver was down in the doldrums of prices, and especially where it's been since then. Missile technology, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and all those things were pretty cheap to produce when it came to silver content. Well, all of a sudden the United States has said, well, we're going to, make this a strategic metal because it is strategic. It's important to our national defense.
What an odd thing to say.
That's an odd thing to say. Why? Because it's used in munitions. Heavily in munitions. So recently, one of my channels that I watch on a regular basis is called Cappy's Army. He's an infantry soldier, ex-infantry soldier, and he talks a lot about the strategic things that are going on around the world. And a recent video he did was talking about the addiction of the U.S. military industrial complex on making missile munitions, missile tech. And we are cranking out missiles like never before. I mean, the Tomahawk being one, but you have ATACMS, you have HIMARS, you have TOWs when I was in there. All kinds of these missiles. Air to air, sea, land to land, sea based, whatever, all kinds of these missiles. And if you're aware of the technologies that use these munitions, they are split second. I'm talking nanosecond decision makers when it comes to firing these things and making them land on target. These munitions must be able to communicate not only with the person or the ship who fired them or the plane who fired it. It needs to communicate quickly, sometimes with each other, because they're all flying in tandem. And they have to make split-second decisions on target acquisition or target movement. I'm talking split second. When a ship sends up chaff to tell a missile or to dissuade a missile from hitting that ship, the missile has to make a split-second decision, I can have a hard time talking today, on whether or not to follow the chaff or to reacquire, making sure that it stays on target for that ship. This technology is very, very high-end, and the only way you get split-second decisions like that is to use connections within that missile circuitry of silver. And I'm not talking about just, sterling, junk silver type quality silver. It's got to be 4/9 fine. 4/9 fine silver in order to get those connections to work and work instantly. So Everyone's saying, oh, well, silver is going up because we have industrial needs and, the solar industry. That's a bunch of garbage. BS. Ladies and gentlemen, I am off grid. I pay attention to the solar industry. I pay attention to people in the financial markets who talk about precious metals and the things they might be used for. All I hear is these solar companies and wind turbine companies, by the way, too, going out of business. They don't stay in business very long. They're going out of business one after the other. Bang, bang, bang. Obama promotes this company and they put in this many billions of dollars into its infrastructure and it goes out of business. And the little guys, too, there's lots of little companies I've seen go out of business, too, who provide these solar and industrial type things when it comes to silver and all that stuff. It's not industrial. No, what's sucking up all the silver, and every single financial expert I'm watching online says there is no silver. We are running out of silver. This giant sucking sound that you're hearing that is sucking up all the silver is the military-industrial complex. Guaranteed. And it's not just for munitions, although I would bet that's probably the majority of it, but all of their new vehicles, all their new ship designs, all these new components for the Arleigh Burke class destroyers that are modularized so that it can switch out components. All those components have to have split second circuitry in order to make decisions on the fly, with AI and everything. And all of those things are going to require a high amount of silver in the circuitry. Silver, number one. Data point number one, silver being a strategic metal. And then number two is just simply the price. The price is going up. We have broken through the all-time high of silver. Now, I just did recently a video over on my Patreon channel, Patreon page, on how to prepare your homestead for collapse. If you're interested in that video, if you're interested in how I think you should prepare your homestead for collapse, you can go watch that video over at my Patreon page, patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead. Link is in the description below. It'll cost you $1 to get in and watch the video. And there's lots of other things that you can get for free there also as well. Butchering videos, all kinds of stuff. But in that video, I gave a history. I think I have it here still on my... Actually, I do right there. Yeah, look at that. The history of a day's wage from the book of the Bible, Matthew chapter 20, verse 2, all the way up until the 1900s. You saw that movie Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Yeah, there's 2,000 years of history on what was a day's wage. A dime's worth of silver. Now... hopefully you're not too deep, with your head in the sand to realize that we have gone completely the opposite way. That's not the way it is today. And but 2,000 years of consistency will correct. It will correct. And right now, you're watching it correct. Right now, you're watching our dollar lose its value. Silver is not going up in value. The buying power of your dollar is going down. 2,000 years ago, you were paid a day's wage, a dime's worth of silver, and with that day's wage, you were expected to clothe you and your family, feed you and your family, pay for housing, pay for taxes, pay for all the things that you had to pay for back then. You can buy a dime's worth of silver for like $4 today at a coin shop. So don't tell me that there's not a problem here, a monetary problem and a correction happening. It's absolutely going to happen. Right now, 1 ounce of silver is $54. But historically, when it comes to buying power, 1 ounce of silver should be around $1,200. And we got a long way to correct, but it will correct. So the silver price is the second indicator. And during that presentation that I give, how to prepare your homestead for collapse, I give 3 ways collapses usually happen: economic, war, and political instability. And right now we're seeing the possibility of all 3 happening. I don't know if you've been paying attention lately, but you're getting ready to send National Guard troops into Chicago, which, in my opinion, is probably the good thing to do. Chicago needs National Guard troops. Chicago needs to be, nuked from orbit.
It's the only way to be sure.
But anyway, there you go. There's indicator data point number 2. The silver price is going up, skyrocketing. In my opinion, it's because of a whole lot of things. Number one, our monetary system is completely flawed and it is failing. Economic indicator, economic collapse. And then also the industrial complex is sucking all of that silver out of the market to use it for munitions. Why are we making munitions? Because we're going to war. The third one, the third indicator, just this last week, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but this is something that's been cooking for a while now, but it just got mainstream media, was the press and the Pentagon have been forced to agree to a number of rules. If you're going, listen, you can be a press person. You can publish whatever you want in the press. But if you're going to come into this building, you're going to have to abide by some rules because we are going to lock down this place because it's leaking like a sieve. It's leaking like a sieve. And so all of these press people with these press credentials have been told they have to agree to these rules in order to be able to come into this building and play press. And a lot of people, a lot of these mainstream people have turned in their press credentials. They don't want to do that anymore. They're trying to stand up for freedom and tell everyone how unfair this is, that I can't come into your building anymore. You can still be a press person. And if you break the rules, if you break these rules, you don't go to jail. You're just going to be escorted out the door and told not to come back. You can still be a press. You can still go to CNN and the New York Times and go all. No one's, cracking down on the press. We are cracking down on you leaking our military secrets all over the internet. That's what we're cracking down on. And if you don't abide by the rules, you got to go. Just go out the building. Out you go. Don't come back. So they're fixing the leaks. That's an indicator in my opinion. That's a data point indicator that they're fixing the leaks. Why? Because when you fix loose lips sink ships. OPSEC, operational security. We're discovering this again. Fantastic. I have long been of the belief that we are not ready to go to war because we are absolutely unprepared. And the Trump administration seems like they are fixing a lot of these things that are unprepared. The whole calling in of the admirals and generals and high NCOs across the military the other day, that was to get rid legally, according to the United States military. What is it again? It's been a while. I think I've been out of the military for like over 20 years now. Definitely over 20 years, like 25 years. UMCJ. Is that right? I'm missing a letter there. Anyway, they're getting rid of them legally by saying, hey, if you don't meet height and weight standards, if you can't do some push-ups and sit-ups, out you go. Out you go. And that's a great way because mostly liberal woke generals and admirals all eat Doritos and ice cream. And that's a great way to get rid of a bunch of woke people. They can't do any push-ups. So, they're closing, they're tightening the ship. That's what they're doing. And why? Because they're getting ready to go to war. And you can't have some woke purple, general or admiral, purple-haired general, sitting behind a keyboard, making decisions and leaking stuff to the New York Times in order to bash Trump if you're going to try to win a war. You can't do that. You got to get rid of those Dorito-eating, calm down, Dorito-eating generals and close up the press in the Pentagon if you want to win wars. Loose lips sink ships. What do you think? These are my three indicators, my three data points. I absolutely think we're going to war. Now, how do I think we're going to get there? Number one, I think it's going to kick off with Venezuela. And Venezuela is friends with some other people, and those other people might decide to join in. Or might decide that was a good time because you guys are concentrating on things over there. The South China Sea might just be a fantastic place for us to take some ground if you're China. So that's probably how I see it kicking off. We flew the other day B-52s over or near Venezuela, not over Venezuela, but it was basically close enough to the coast that any half working radar produced after 1950 would have seen them. Okay. They kept their transponders on and they flew right along the coast of Venezuela. So they were just saying, hey, we're here. Just wanted to let you know. I think we're going to kick off with Venezuela first. And at that point, some of these other countries might try to take advantage of the situation. And we may find ourselves in knee-deep sheep poop over in the South China Sea. That's what I think. But it's coming. These guys are getting ready. I think these are data points. What do you think? I would love to hear comments below. Be sure to let me know, your thoughts. I'd love to know. Also, let me just say a quick, perfectpickler.com. They're now being sold in Michaels. You know that? We're now in Michael's and Layman's. Layman's is now selling perfectpicklerkits.com. The reason why people are selling these kits, we have a lot of other different small shops like herbal shops and small local grocers who are selling these things, and we're sending kits out to them too. We're also selling them online, obviously at perfectpickler.com. But the reason why is because it's easy to make your own probiotics at home. Those little expensive pill bottles, you don't know if they've even been kept cold the whole time. If you've ever been on antibiotics in your life, you need probiotics in your gut. Probiotics, sometimes the best offense is a good defense. And right there's your defense, perfectpickler.com. I hope if you're interested in growing probiotics, the wintertime is a great time to do it. You got your fall garden in. You can be pulling some of these things. Most of those things you can ferment right here in this kit. There's instructions. There's a recipe. If you get the value package kit, it comes with a full color recipe book. And then this one here comes with a downloadable version of the recipe book you can look at online. But it gives you lots of recipes, and there's a whole bunch more free recipes on the website at perfectpickler.com. It's a home-based business based here in the Ozarks, right here on an American homestead. Check them out. Probiotics. You need them, I need them, we all need them. All right. Love you guys. See you next time on the homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.